Yeah, started.
Hi everyone. We are back with another topic, and that's identification of people which are risk of radicalization. And I personally believe this is one of the most important of the topics which we have. All of the topics are very important, but this is again very crucial topic, and we should think out of the box techniques, out of the box ideas for this. The reason being, I always consider that it's a future generation who will help us grow, who will help as a nation, who will help in nation building up, and also the people who are young are the people who can be motivated, can be directed in a certain direction. People who have already grown up, to explain them certain things, it would be very difficult. But for people who are young and who are small, you can just explain them. You can give them reasoning. You can counsel them. You can do a lot of things with them to divert or to let them know what is right and what is wrong. So as it is, we will understand what the problem statement says, what can be done, how can we use techniques to identify people who are at risk of radicalization. Radicalization is getting extreme or becoming extremist or becoming those people who are, I mean, who are extreme in their behaviors and who does not um, go with a mindset of developing something, which which I also call it as a homegrown terrorism. It is not a terrorism which has come from outside, but it's homegrown terrorism. And if they are identified, the very first thing we can do is at least stop those people. Prevention is better than cure, so that's what we are trying to do. If we identify, we can prevent somebody from becoming radicalized because of XYZ reasons. The very first thing is the spotting signs. What radicalization spotting, what signs does it give? Do we have any signs which will let us know that okay, the certain group is radicalized? It's very difficult to spot them, but there are some signs which a young person or a young individual gives. Maybe to the people who observe others, it's for you also. It's when somebody is isolating themselves from friends and family and is talking a scripted speech or is saying only words which is being scripted. I mean, when we talk, you can understand if somebody is reading out something and saying, or the other person is genuinely speaking impromptu. So it all depends on how the other person and how the individual is talking, and then they they cannot discuss their views properly. They have a very disrespectful attitude. Anger levels, they have very increased anger levels. They become very secretive. They try to create a lot of secret things, especially when they use internet. Very important to identify. And as I say, it's very important because we as humans, we as individuals, we should never show our love for hatred. Hatred for Mother Nature, hatred for extremist behavior to destroy something. We should never ever show love for such things, and it's we who has to spot as an individual, it's for us to understand. We have to spot things. Again, I will say spotting signs I have just discussed right now. This disrespectful behavior, anger level, secretiveness, and isolating themselves from friends and family. How are people radicalized? The very first thing, I mean, which is very common and we know about it, is brainwashed. Yes, these extremist people, they target them, they target these, they identify the people, they target them and tell them that they can be part of something very special. They are brainwashed later and they cut themselves off from their friends and family so that when they brainwash them, there's no other third person who can pull them back. If they are going in certain direction which is wrong, your friends and your family are somebody who will pull you off from it. But these extremist people, their target is to cut off them from the family and to brainwash them. This is what I talked about, push and pull factors. For example, if there's an involvement in violence, what they identify is if somebody, let's say, if an individual is involved in violence, there are two factors associated for being involved in violence. One is an internal factor, internal to a human being. Second is an external factor, which is an external factor, environmental factor. Internal factors are factors where somebody had a childhood trauma. For example, when you were a kid and you underwent through some violence in your life, you saw something which was very violent, or you had gone through something which you were unexpectedly did not wish to happen, and it was an unfortunate thing which had happened with you in your childhood. That trauma remains in your mind. That becomes an internal factor for somebody to become violent, for somebody to follow that violence. Second is an external factor, as I said, influence. If you are influenced by somebody who is extremist, you also fall into the same category, right? And it also gives feedback from the rest of the groups. Rest of the groups, whatever feedback you give. And you know what? When you do a thing which is wrong, you always have a push and pull factor within you. That push and pull factor is sometimes you would behave as if the thing what you're doing is not correct when you come into your consensus. But always there is somebody who's going to push you. You will get influenced by the group. They form a group and they influence you. And the most targeted people are the people who are at risk of being radicalized, and we have to identify this. When we identify this, we will have to think about all these factors, where we have to also think about external and internal both the factors. If there's a childhood trauma which has occurred in a child, it is very important for the parents and their families to know about it and act on it. As we say, acting on a child's trauma doesn't mean that your child has a problem, has a mental issue. No, we should act, we should counsel the child, and external factors, we will look into this. I mean, these are at an individual level where everybody can help by changing the society. Okay. I said, I call it as being a homegrown terrorism. And what a homegrown terrorism is, it's about an individual who was born or raised, individual who is acting on their own behalf, and somebody who is radicalized during youth. When you are young, you are being radicalized. You are born here, you are acting on somebody else's behalf, and you are radicalized. It's a right saying that what's being planted in your backyard, you should know about it. What is being planted in your backyard, and that's where homegrown terrorism comes in. And This is the people who are have to be identified, who are at risk of not knowing what is happening in their backyard. We'll come to the stages. There are 4 stages of radicalization. The first stage is pre-radicalization, where in the stage people with that ideology, extremist ideology, they try to just influence you. They'll just keep talking about you. They'll tell you that there is a secret plan, secret mission, very special thing which you have to be, which you can be part of. And then the second step is self-identification. They give you what your identity is, why you have come here, who are you. They might target on individuals' behavior, they might target on their religion, they might target on many things which is your self identity. They'll say it's your self identity, and this is your identity. You are here in this planet for XYZ reasons. Then comes critination, where you become part of a group and you start following the ideology, and your words and your behavior and your thoughts get aligned to these groups. For extremists, they get aligned, and then is your final stage which we call it as becoming an extremist. Once you become an extremist, that's where you attack. So there are stages of radicalization also, and it is very, very important to stop people at a pre-radicalization stage. How to do that? That's what we have to find out, and that's what we are here for. What are the factors which are affecting people to get radicalized? And why is there a growing trend? There are a number of reasons behind it, and internet is a huge part of it. Social media plus ISIL. It has allowed radicalization to occur faster, reach wider, and happen in a more accessible way. It is all because of easy access to individuals over internet, over social media. Again and again, most of the things which are happening are only on social media, only because of social media. And here's where we have to find some things which can let us identify these people, at least who are being targeted through internet. Because once we do that, we will be stopping the major trend which is growing. And it's not only here, it's across the world. So let's put up a short demo on how can we identify these people. With this demo, I am using YouTube channel. Okay, I'm using YouTube, and you can do the similar kind of thing on Facebook, similar kind of thing on Twitter, and similar kind of thing on various other platforms. So I'm giving you an idea of how to do it on YouTube. Again, I'm only targeting social media because that's the portion where there's an increasing trend, growing trend, where people are being radicalized, they are being used, and they are being targeted to become extremist and follow what they shouldn't be following. So I'll just share my screen. So I'll be scraping data from YouTube, which I have already scraped. I'm not going to scrape now because it takes a lot of time to scrape data. And I have scraped lot of data. And so for scraping, you will use Selenium. Selenium is a driver which can be used to scrape data from across the browsers. So, and I have saved it in a JSON format. You have a lot of JSON files from each channel. Each reviews have been there. I'm not going to show you the scraping code, but understand you. If I have a data set with me, how am I going to identify people who are risk? So as I always say, you can use graph technologies. Graph technology gives you easiest solution, and that's what I'm doing. I'm creating graphs in Python, but you can create graphs in Neo4j as well. I'll give you a software which you can utilize for the same thing. Right now, I'm doing it in Python. So I'm importing the specific libraries. And then here is my data set from YouTube's Radicalization. And I'm going to load the data set. I cannot data set, and we'll be identifying left-wing channels. We'll be identifying right-wing channels, left-wing channels, and we'll be identifying people who have commented on these channels. Okay. And I found out, so I'm going to remove certain scripts which are not there. So I'm going to remove them. So we'll find out, and we are very, very much okay. I identifying people who belong to being an extremist and being a non-extremist. We call it as left wing and right wing, and we will then from the videos. I'm only scraping the comments. Okay, I'm just scraping the comments from the video, and you can see I'm analyzing the review tags and the column which are anti SAV conspiracy, who have religious content, who are talking about libertarian, different groups. Okay, we are talking about this, and we are trying to find out right-wing people and left-wing people. Right-wing people are the people who support these ideas. So we are identifying these people. Yeah, I'm just extracting the contents, the comments from YouTube's posts, and you can see the code is running. At the end of this, I will have groups of channels or maybe groups of users who belong to extremists or who do not belong to extremists and who are at risk of being radicalization. And if they are at risk of being radicalization, then we can trace back those individuals from the social media, try to connect with them, or maybe after identification we can help out. People can reach out. Concerned department can then reach out. We are creating the identifying information, we are extracting information from this. We'll be identifying only people who are leftist and not the people who are rightists. We'll be identifying them. And we'll go through this list of comments which we have. It's been scraped from YouTube. So you can see I'm identifying the title of the video, who is the content creator. Okay, and I'm just storing it in my data frame. For all of them, I'm trying to do the same. Same thing, content, who is a content creator and what is the title. And here with review tags, I'm identifying the tags, certain kind of tags, if they are available, I'm isolating them from it. It's like same as NLP. You can mix all of the things which are there in this. You can do hate analysis. You can do sentiment analysis for the positive and negative ones. Instead of positive, negative, you can say rightist and leftist. And you can also talk about hate speech analysis. So once you find out there's a hate speech in a review text or in a post of any social media, then whether the hate is against religion, it is against being liberal, it is against government, it is against what? Any right, any conspiracy, any article, which is etc., any law, etc., anything. So it's like and they understanding. It's like doing sentiment analysis on your review text. And you can see the code is still running, and once the code is run, I'll show you the results at the end. And I'll just show you the results, few set of results, not all of them, because it's a big data set. I'm going to show you a snapshot of the result at the end, how we get how the leftist people will be identified. Run this. We have the data frames. Actually, it is giving us probability of somebody being a leftist or not. So we have nodes, different nodes, how much chances are there, how many values are there, whether it's a leftist or not. And based on the feature set, we can find it out. Also, you can do machine learning AI on this, but NLP, right now you will have to do NLP because we do not have legal data set. We are not sure if that individual is actually leftist or not. It just depends on their reviews they are writing, this everything which they are writing about. So it depends on them. And now, after saving this, I'll show you the results. Okay, so now is the time for me to show you the results of somebody being on the left side and somebody being on the leftist. So I'll just show you the results. Okay. Okay, so I have converted my data frame into an image and you can see the screen. What we have on our screen is the data set, the people who are somewhere or the other talking about the leftist ideas and who is the content creator of this video. So we have videos and we have the content creator and we have identified whether that individual is leftist or not. So I'm going to show you again. That's it. We have the content at the end. It gave you the target individuals, list of target individuals are leftist, and it's based on all speech and text which they have, review comments which they have on it, and then we can identify these people and then try to prevent things before anything's happen. There are other techniques which you can do, the hate speech detection. So you can detect the hate speeches. You can detect people who are posting and their friends of friends of friends. Network analysis also you can do based on. So once you identify extremist people, From the extremist people, you can do friends of friend analysis. And I can show it to you. I'll show you a demo, not demo, just a screenshot of how friends and friends analysis is being done on graphs. So I'm going to show you that. So once you identify it, you can identify their friends as well. So it's called as friends of friends analysis, graph analysis, which you can do specifically to identify who are the people related to each other. And you can use BFS, breadth first search algorithm, in Neo4j. So you can use Neo4j for it. I will show you what Neo4j is about. And we can actually utilize Neo4j for the same. We will be doing friends of friends analysis using Neo4j, and I'm going to share with you how Neo4j looks like. And I'm going to share how Neo4j looks like, which you can utilize for a lot of other techniques as well. So here is the Neo4j, and the Neo4j is for creating graphs, graph databases, and I'll show you simply what all use cases are already there, in which you will have friends of friend use cases, which you can also use for the same. So we have social network analysis, and you can read about them, you can get started, you can just look about what it is there. It has friends of friends recommendation. So when you have friend of friend recommendation, you can identify uh, the people who are connected to the extremist people. So if a person is connected to an extremist person, it gets influenced on for the same. It gets influenced for the same, and you can find out the relationship between them, and those people also are risk of being radicalized. So that's one thing you can utilize. If you let me see if I can create a sandbox for you in Neo4j, and let me see if there is already available. So I'll just log in with my Google account, create a sandbox account, and after creating my sandbox account, I can access Neo4j on cloud. I don't have to download it. And you can see there are already built-in sandbox. So there's crime investigation, there is recommendation, and contact tracing, Twitter trolls, identifying Twitter trolls. Okay, so let's see which one we can take it up. So we have Twitter analysis. So let's pick this up and create. When we create this, it will ask for your Twitter login, and once you log in Twitter, the data set is already installed. And you can do friends on friends of friend analysis on this, UNLP on this as well. So you can explore graphs also, and you can see the Neo4j has been done. And I just open up in the browser to show you the data, and you can play around with it. You can do content classification, you can do NLP with it. You can, with the content classification, the same kind of thing what we have done using Python, you can do using Neo4j. The best part is you will have data with you right away in Neo4j, and it creates graph databases. So you can learn about them, you can quickly use them for a lot of other things as well, and for this identifying extremists as well. Now you can see it has given you a Twitter graph, tweets, hashtag, links, sources, tweets, retweets, users, and users, right? Once you have these graphs, you can mention on your Twitter who's your most influential follower. A lot of things you can do, but what are we interested in? We are interested in hashtags. We can identify people with the same hashtags of classifying it into different roles, different talks or speeches, hate content analysis you can do, sentiment analysis you can do with the same this as well, with the same individual as well. So whatever is your hashtag, based on your hashtag, you can identify the posts, the tweets, and based on the tweets, you can classify people as leftist or having rightist behavior, and based on that, those are the people who would be at a risk of being radicalized. So it's good to use this. It's one of the tools which you can use it for a lot of other this as well, other profiles as well, and that with the coding part, I am you can use other techniques if you want as well. In conclusion, this is a very complex issue. As I said, it's very important and very complex issue, and it needs to be handled. No matter who we are, education is the first step for both terrorists and communists they come from. We have to educate them. That's where we lack. After identifying, we have, and it's a very complex issue which everybody has to be solved. And detection, as I said, prevention is better than cure. We have to identify, prevent, and then take concerned people can take necessary actions. If you have any questions, you can ask me. The data set, if you are concerned about data set, I've already told you, you can use comment, you can use tweets, you can use review comments, you can use a lot of other things to analyze and classify people and get their information of whether they can be radicalized or not, based on whatever open source data set you have. That's it for this session. And if you have any doubts, do reach out to me, and and that's your turn. Keep doing it and keep sharing your ideas. All the best.